So hey, I became a parent this year. I parented 5 kids in the last 12 months. Now that's not concurrently, but consecutively. And in this year of parenthood, I have learned a lot about myself, my worldview, my marriage, and about my business and how I work best. So today I want to share what parenting has taught me about business. Welcome to Explore Your Enthusiasm, episode 280 with me, Tara Swigert. Today's episode is an ultra vulnerable episode because I am talking about something in which I do not proclaim to be an expert in. Usually I talk about stuff that I know quite a bit about, that I've researched, that I've experienced, that I've worked with other people on, and parenthood is not like that. It's not my expertise yet. And I'm going to be honest, I have some imposter syndrome when it comes to parenting because I wanted to be a parent for so long, and the way it finally happened has been very non-traditional. So I don't feel like a normal parent, and I'm not right now a parent in the way that most parents are. I did not give birth. I did not adopt a child. In fact, I legally don't even have any kids right now. I temporarily have kids that I parent, and let me tell you, the day-to-day parenting feels very, very, very real. And in fact, it is really, really real. Like, a part of what I've come to learn over the last year is that I am a parent, even if I'm not legally a parent or I'm not all the time a parent. So I am having the experience of being a parent, even if I'm not legally a parent yet, and having that experience has changed so much in my business and my mindset and the way I think about things that I wanted to share that with you today. So I feel kind of nervous talking about this, as you might be able to tell, but I know that we're all inexperienced about something, and the way that we grow is to learn through that experience, to pay attention to what the experience is and try to learn lessons from it. Now, before we go any further, I just want to say to all my sisters who are feeling pain about not being a parent yet, or you're really wanting to be one, you might just want to skip this episode. All different things used to trigger my grief and my sadness, and I would hate when I came to somebody for business advice and they were just acted like kids were a given and kids were no problem. And I know that if you don't have any intention or desire to have kids, that's also really annoying when everybody acts like that's just how it's definitely going to be for you. So I just want to say, I see you. I know you. I love you. If you need to skip this episode because you do not want to hear about like the lessons I learned from parenting, I completely understand. Now, that said, whether if you're interested at all in learning more about foster care, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, and I think that everyone should at least consider it as a way of pouring your time and energy and resources and privileges into somebody who really needs it. Someone who is very, very cute and very hard to live with. But if you are even considering foster care a little bit, stay tuned and check out my video playlist all about the process of becoming a foster parent. I have linked that up in the show notes, which of course you can find at taraswigert.com/podcast280, or probably if you scroll down past wherever you're listening, the show notes are there with a link to that video series. Of course, if you are a parent, whether it's through traditional or non-traditional methods, stay tuned because I think you're going to enjoy maybe laughing at me and the things that I learned through the last year. And you will see the way that your parenting and your business overlaps in so many ways and how you can learn lessons from each to apply to the other. The first big lesson of having a business or being a parent is if you don't deal with your stuff now, it's going to come up later. You have to work through your stuff. Both parenting and business serves as a magnifying glass for all the stuff you need to work through in order to move forward and be the kind of person you want to be. Now, what do I mean by stuff? I mean anything that is going on that's holding you back from being who you want to be. It might be mental health stuff like anxiety, depression, eating disorder, or it might be stuff from your own childhood or stuff from past relationships or traumas that you've gone through. The thing is, both businesses and kids are going to bring it up again, and you're going to need to work through it before you can move forward. Now, I have long said that business is one of the best therapists because it is all going to come up. As you set goals, as you level up, up, as you try to be the next thing, you are going to come up against your own feelings of unworthiness, inadequacy, the questions you have about charging what you're worth. You're going to come up against your mindset. You're going to come up against your lack of confidence or growing your confidence. And if you don't work through that stuff and you don't do the stuff around changing your mindset, you don't do the stuff about growing your confidence, you don't do the stuff about your worthiness and charging what you're worth, your business is not going to grow. And you're going to just keep hitting wall after wall, and it's going to keep coming up. And the thing is, you're going to end up self-sabotaging yourself or getting stuck or feeling horrible. Even when your business does grow, you're not going to be able to enjoy it because you'll be dealing with all of your imposter-y stuff. And oh my gosh, if it is true in business, it is doubly true in parenting. They bring up all of your stuff. Every bit of unhealed trauma, every bit of grief, every bit of fear, every bit of relationship stuff or childhood stuff comes and just smacks you right upside the head when you're taking care of tiny children. Or maybe that's just me, but that's been my experience. It all comes up. The great thing is I got a head start on working through my stuff and developing a support system for dealing with it while I was building my business. So because I already had to work through all the stuff about being worthy, about mindset, about clear communication, about calming myself down in the moment and meditating, I need to do all that in order to grow my business. So that made me able to move through it quicker sometimes when it came to kids, because I had been dealing with it. I recognized it. I knew how to see what was going on in my own head. There's an author who calls this mindsight, like being able to see what you're thinking and say like, those are my thoughts, and not get all tangled up in it. I learned that from my business. So when it came up with kids, I was slightly better skilled at working with it. But I'm going to be honest with you. My husband, he's struggled with this. He's had to develop ways to calm down, to recharge, to release stuff, to confront himself, to forgive himself while in the middle of parenting toddlers, because they bring it all up. And the great thing is this is going to help him in any other endeavor in his life. Because the thing is, it's not just business and kids that make you work through your stuff. It's a life. It's things happening. It's relationships, both friendships and relationships with your parents and romantic relationships. So anytime you deal with stuff in one area, it's going to be easier when it comes up in another area. Maybe it won't even come up in another area because you've worked through it already. So the first lesson of both business and parenting is work on your own stuff. Work through your stuff. Have systems in place that will support you, that will lead you through it, people you can talk to. So now or later, it's going to have to be dealt with if your business is going to grow or if you're going to grow into the kind of parent you want to be. And if you had kids first, hopefully you've learned to identify some of this stuff and you've already started the process of working on it. So when it comes up in your business, you're like, oh, hey, I've dealt with that. I know how to deal with this. The next lesson is about time. And I know all of you parents are like, yes, I've been telling you, Tara, I don't have enough time. The fact of the matter is I have never felt like I had so little thinking time in my life. And it has forced me to get very clear on when and how I work best and what I really need in order to be productive. And sadly, what I need is like some time. So what I've learned is that I need dedicated, focused time to specifically work on my business. And in order to really do anything that I do in my business, there are very few things I can do if I don't have a chunk. Now the chunk can be 15 or 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour, but it needs to be quiet. There needs to be nobody talking to me. There needs to be no distractions. And I've also learned, for me, introvert recovery cannot be skipped. I cannot go right from being with a bunch of people to just diving into work and be good and productive and thoughtful and creative in that work. I need some introvert recovery time. And actually, I figured out that the longer I spend surrounded by kids and surrounded by people not working, the more time I need to recover to actually get productive again. So that's super counterintuitive. It's like the more time I haven't been working, the more time I need to not work. It's very, very annoying, but I found that it's true. So if I have 3 days, like the kids are usually off on Monday out of school because they have speech therapy appointments and we do most of our appointments on Monday. So I will go Saturday, Sunday, Monday, do no work, look at nothing work related. I cannot Tuesday morning when I drop them off at school immediately dive into being able to think strategically, creatively, problem solve. I can do some things like answer some simple emails. I can maybe do some things like edit some photos. I often edit the vlog at this time, but I can't talk to you like this. I can't teach a class. I need some time, whether it's reading or whether it's napping or whether it's just like journaling or just like being, or maybe talking with Jay. But again, that's not really introvert recovery. So knowing that has helped me not feel so bad that first thing on my first day back. For you, it might be Monday. For me, it's Tuesday. Sometimes it's not till Wednesday. Knowing that on that first day back, the very first hour, I'm not going to be all that with it. Now, when we had a baby, it wasn't in daycare. This was hard because it was basically nap time, and once they went to bed, that's it. So it was hard to find the time. And actually what I found is on weekends when my husband was off, by hour 2 or 3 of him being home and me not being the primary parent, I could kind of get some creativity. But that was hard. I don't know, when your baby is young, I don't know if it ever feels 100% again. I certainly never got there. Our longest baby placement was just 3 weeks though, so I don't think I got to the point where it usually kicks in. So that's the other thing I'm going to be honest with being a foster parent. The first 4 to 6 weeks, there's nothing. I can show up where I need to show up, like I do the weekly Starship chat. I can send out emails, but I can't do anything creative, nothing problem solving, nothing like fix this technology that's falling down, nothing like answer this complex, but it is not even within my head, no matter what else is going on, because in those 4 to 6 weeks, it's just such a huge period of transition of personalities. I mean, you're basically getting a new roommate, except for they might be your roommate forever, and also they're very tiny, and you have to wipe their butts. I feel like the more I get used to it, the smaller that kind of window of time is where it's crazy, but I'm just completely unable to think, and recognizing that has been huge, and not beating myself up, because by not beating myself up, I'm able to recover faster. If I spend all the time that I would be recovering feeling bad about not having already recovered, I just get in that place of feeling bad and feeling guilty and feeling unproductive. Instead, I'm like, okay, I'll rest. Okay, I'll wait until I feel like I can do it. And the fact of the matter is, at a certain point, I get like, I can't wait to get back into work, to get back into being creative, to get back into anything that is like my own thing. That's what I've had to remember about time. And then I have another little hack, which is like to squeeze all of our appointments in on the very same day. So I said I mostly do them on Monday, and then I have days where I never schedule anything kid related, or if it is scheduled, I don't go to it. Like Jay goes to it, the social worker does it. Like I don't schedule as much as possible kid stuff on certain days of the week so that I know that I have the day of the week to work. Now, because we're working with DCS, they don't really respect my boundaries. They often set appointments and then tell me when the appointments are. But so when possible, I stand up for my own boundaries. In the past, I've had social workers that have always asked me before they scheduled meetings, which was great. Currently, I'm not ever asked before meetings are scheduled, and so I work around it. But that is something that when I can say, let's move it, I do that. I stand up and I say, I need to move this for my work schedule. Because if I don't respect my work schedule, nobody else is going to know that they need to. This all comes down to the fact that time management is just so much more crucial. And I have had to get better at it. I still don't know that I'm that great at it, but it is a whole new level of managing all the moving pieces. And for those of you who started their business after they were a parent, I salute you. Another big lesson that is so applicable to both parenting and business is clear communication. Clear communication is vital when you're dealing with toddlers. Clear communication is vital when you're dealing with DCS and social workers and birth families and other adults in your children's life. And guess what? Clear communication is key to having successful and effective marketing messages. So your clear communication means that whatever it is that you're trying to get across, you figure out how to get across it. And for me, one of the keys to making sure that it's clear and effective is to always ask yourself, what is the goal of this communication right now? So what is the goal of this meeting that we all came to with the social worker and the birth family and the GAL? What is the goal of this outburst that my toddler is having? What is she trying to communicate through her behavior? What is the goal of this Instagram post or this email I'm about to send or this item description or this sales page? What is the goal of this podcast episode? What is the message that's being communicated? And then who am I communicating it to, and how do I make sure that I take what is in my head, which is an idea that doesn't have words yet, and I put it into words that will put that idea in the other person's head. Communication's crazy, guys. That's what it is. You're putting ideas in other people's heads. So you are always at all times trying to communicate something to someone. Sometimes it's just yourself. You're telling yourself, buck up, girl, you can do it. Sometimes you're communicating like, please put the dishes in the dishwasher when they're dirty. But getting clear on what your intended message is, what the goal is, and who the intended audience is, you can then make sure that you are saying what makes sense, that your message is going to get across quickly and effectively. And yes, I'm encouraging you to stop and think through what you're about to say or what you're about to type, especially when it comes to tricky relationships and to your online marketing messaging. So many people are like, I just want to shoot it off the cuff. Great, that's fantastic if your off the cuff communication style is effective. And if it's not, then you just need to work on making it effective by thinking about the two questions. What is my goal and who am I talking to? If you've ever had a conversation with me, you know that I am not going to let you go until I am certain that the goal has been met. So if you ask me a question and I'm not entirely sure that I've answered the question, I'm gonna keep going until I answer the question. If we are trying to solve a problem, I'm not gonna let it go until we've solved the problem. This is part of my just extreme stubborn streak. This is also part of my Enneagram 2. I always wanna help people. I want people to feel included. I want them to understand what is going on at all times. I deeply wanna be understood. One of my personality quirks. This can be annoying if maybe you're married to me, and this can be super useful if you are in a meeting with me and the things that the other person is saying is just like, you're not understanding it. For example, we were recently in a meeting with some social workers and some family members, and I could tell that the worker was focused on saying what she needed to say. And the family members were not understanding either the content or the severity of what was being said because it was being said in industry speak. Foster care is serious. It's people's relationships with their children or with their family members. And it's vital that everybody know what's going on. And I often see my role as the foster parent, especially in a situation where reunification is imminent or possible, to make sure that everybody understands what's both being asked of them and what's being required and what's being communicated and what they're saying they can't do. So I stopped the worker several times over and over to say, so you're saying XYZ. You're saying if X doesn't happen, by when? When is a deadline to this? What is the result of X not happening? What is the result of X happening? I did it over and over, and I kept rewording it until I could see that everybody was on the same page and they understood the industry speak. And when we walked out of that meeting, my husband said, "You were so great, Tara. You did a great job, but you probably really annoyed the social worker. But I think we got everybody on the same page. I think everybody understands what was trying to be said because we needed you in there translating it 100 times." Even if your guys are not dealing with DCS in the system, you still are in meetings where you need to communicate things. Maybe it's your kid's teacher at school. Maybe it's your kid got in trouble or is having problems with one of his friends and you need to talk to another parent. There are always situations in life, especially, let's not get into the whole partner relationship communication thing. There are always times in life where you are sitting down with somebody and it's clear you're not using the same words or the same phrases, you're not speaking the same language, and you need to get on the same page. This is like 1,000,000,000,000 times true when it comes to toddlers, because with toddlers, you need to really improve your communication skills in order to simplify, make clear requests, not muddy it up by saying a bunch of words that they don't understand. And if you've been in a relationship for longer than a minute, you know that you've worked on your communication skills. So the great thing is, if you have done any of those things, you've already improved your communication skills. You can bring that knowledge into your business. Those skills translate. So many times people get overwhelmed by business communication, marketing communication. They feel like they don't know enough or they're not good enough. They can't really do this. They can't really be effective at it, but they already have all these skills and all these life experiences that have shaped what they know how to do. If you know how to communicate with a teenager, then I'm pretty sure you can write your marketing message. If you have been in a relationship for more than a minute, then you already know how to translate what's in your head into somebody else's head, or your relationship wouldn't last. You know how to do that. The trick is just translating it, just recognizing I can take this success and this skill set and apply it to this set of challenges. This is actually something we talk about a lot when we talk about confidence, is taking your competence in any area and applying it to the area where you don't feel as confident. So for me, I took parenting issues, I translated them into business skills, and then I thought, okay, I know how to talk to people. I can handle going into this meeting. You guys, I'm not a person who likes going into meetings, so this has been a challenge. Not to mention I really don't like to be screamed at by a 2-year-old, so this has been a challenge. Those are the lessons I feel like are applicable to both parenting and business. A lot of them I feel like I learned first in business and applied to parenting. For you, you might have learned them in parenting and you're applying them to business. Let's go back over them. Clear communication, which is just asking yourself, what is the goal of this communication and who is the intended audience? And am I speaking in a way they understand? Also, time management, which I kind of hate that phrase. Prioritizing what's important and giving yourself the time it takes to do a task. Giving yourself that time. It's going to take that time whether you give yourself permission to do it or not. And working on your stuff. Working through the stuff that you need to work through in order to move forward, in order to reach your goals, in order to be the kind of parent or partner or human that you want to be. All of that is going to help your business and it's going to help your life. I want to hear if this resonated with you, so please tell me over on Instagram. Take a screenshot right now of however you're listening to this. If you're on YouTube, I'm making hands. And share it with me. Post on your Instagram stories. Tag me in it. I'm at Tara Swigert on Instagram, or you can use the hashtag #ExploreYourEnthusiasm. And I want to hear what your business parenting lessons are. Now, no shame for anybody's parenting game, but tell me, what are the things that you've learned that are applicable to both? Tell me over on Instagram. And if you like this podcast, leave a review on iTunes, give it a thumbs up on YouTube, leave a comment over on YouTube and tell me what you think. Thank you so much for listening. I am so glad to have you here. You can find links to everything I mentioned at taraswigert.com/podcast280. Thank you and have an enthusiastic day.